the team discussion didn't take very long because I think we all knew exactly how it was going to go, and it did. Shishkin himself was great. He was, he jumped like he always does. He's incredibly economical. He has it's his own technique of jumping fences. It's nearly hurdling rather than jumping, but it's very, very efficient and it's very quick. Sometimes frighteningly quick, to be honest with you. He doesn't get much higher than he needs to, so I hope his gauge always stays correct, because it's a little scary at times when you watch him. Having had sprinted an Altior as sort of real, well, they both won their Arkles before they won their champion chases. We must be just very lucky boys, because to have found a third one that might be as good as any of them, he might be, but we haven't got that far yet. But he's taken the right, he's won a Supreme, he's won an Arkle, he's on the road, and he just could be anything.
And will we likely see him again this season?
I'm hoping to go to Aintree, yes. There's a grade 1 there, and I wouldn't go to Punchestown this year. I think that's going to be, I don't think we'd be able to go anyway. I don't say that Shishkin couldn't go without me, because he doesn't miss me that much, I can assure you. But we'd go to Aintree, yeah. And
then next season, hopefully, just the similar sort of route for your 2 milers?
Well, it'd be exactly. It'll be down the old Altior Sprinter Sacra route, Tingle Creeks and Clarence Houses and champion chases. It virtually dictates itself, yes.
And Epatante, she ran well. She probably didn't match last year's form, but were you happy with that run?
I don't think she did, no. I think she ought to have been second and wouldn't have beaten Honeysuckle. I think she'd had to have been. It was a better champion hurdle altogether this year. Sharjah beating her in for second isn't quite right. She didn't have a great passage round. She didn't quite get into her normal rhythm. She's going to go back to Ireland for the summer anyway, to JP Stud for a summer holiday. So I would think she'll take in Punchestown on the way. Honeysuckle was just very, very impressive. So I think we're better than what we saw last week. So we'll give it another go. She's come back well. I'd said to JP and one or two others that he's been in great form. I must say he did very well. He was very impressive at Ascot the first time. Then he was very, very unimpressive, jumping in particular. When he got beat, actually Fuzi Raffles beat him at Cheltenham, and he jumped really indifferently. And we had to do back surgery on him. It took 8 weeks from doing surgery on his back to when he returned. I got one prep race into him at Wetherby. And that was exactly 8 weeks to the day that he had surgery on his back. And to get back that quickly was a pretty amazing performance for the horse anyway. And needed that run. And then, we were pretty confident. I was confident that, or as I said, I'd be disappointed if he couldn't give Envoy Allen some sort of a race. I didn't expect to beat him. I think he's been a superb horse. But I think this is good. And I'd rather hope that we'd at least make him shake the reins. Now, obviously, for them, sadly, it went wrong. And he fell. Then it left the race wide open. Then it got into a very hustly-bustly contest. It nearly took Chantry House out of his sort of comfort zone for a bit. Fuzi Raffles was then travelling extremely well. But it was quite nice when they came to the second last, and between our two horses were together and they'd gone away. So you quite like that situation, that they can't both fall over, please. And you're sort of, you've got it covered. And I thought they were really good. Yes, Chantry is very good. And I would expect him to go up to 3 miles pretty shortly. I think we thought at the beginning of the season that our strength this year would be the novice chasers. And so I'm going to be ambitious and go to Aintree, I hope, all going well, with Shishkin in the 2 miler, Fuzi Raffles in the 2.5, and Chantry House move up to 3. That's the plan.
With Chantry House stepping up to 3 miles, could potentially the King George be an option for next season?
I think that's the idea. It certainly looked as 3 was going to suit him. Aintree would be a good place to just try it out before we go to bed for the summer, and therefore give us an idea of how we're going to plan next term. I do also think Mr. Fisher ran a very good race, and an extraordinary run, Ryanair. It was furious, and he actually ran very, very well. And I've always been thinking that he could move up to 3 and might be a King George horse. And I would say the same with Chantry House. I think he could easily, seeing that at Cheltenham, he certainly got the trip very well there, and looks to be suited to 3 miles. If Aintree went well, I'm sure we would be thinking down King George lines, but, long way to go.
And if you could have stopped the week halfway through Friday, you probably would have done the Gold Cup. Didn't quite go to plan.
Well, that was the absolute, yes. To be fair, the rest of the week had gone. I'm afraid England didn't have a great time. We were absolutely wiped out by Ireland, but we would have settled for what we'd got at the time. The one race, one really hoped. We thought we had 2 pretty good chances in the Gold Cup, and that was very, very disappointing. I mean, to be fair and square, it was all over after 5 fences with both horses. And that was a shuddering jolt, I can assure you. And it sort of slightly, it does ruin the week. Otherwise, you'd have come home very satisfied if somebody said, you'll have 2 winners, 2 seconds, 2 thirds, 2 fourths, fifths. They were all running well. It was just that one race that was really, really disappointing. Champ's going back home to start. He'll have a bone scan next week, and he's already had back surgery. They're pretty sure they know where it is and what we need to do, but it will involve further surgery on his back, and there was no doubt that's what it's all about.
And Santini?
To be fair, I just think we put a visor on him just to try and sharpen him up, and at home it appeared to be a good idea. On the racecourse it was not. He just didn't face them. Some horses face them and some don't, and he didn't.
And could we see him in the Grand National?
Not this year, no. He'll go and take a break now. I think it's where he'll finish up one day, yes.